Hello everyone, it's John back again. Also, I've got Michael with me now just to do a video on basically the latest transfer rumours, who we're linked with, and what we're expecting before Friday, before deadline day, on players coming in and players going out. What's your thoughts, Michael? What can you see happening before Friday?
I think we'll bring in two players. I think centre midfielder, it looks like it's been addressed in Matthias Vecino, I think his name is, which obviously I think is a Carlo Ancelotti man. He seems a decent player. I do have reservations about it, but that's just for me personally. And I'll talk about it a little bit more. And I also think Everton Suarez may come in as well, John, to be honest. But obviously, I don't know. We've been linked with a lot of names, and it's good to sort of get your take on them names and who we've been linked with. And I'm really glad that you're running this video today because you are such an inspirational person to many of us, and all of the Everton fans watching this, I'm sure they wish they were you. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And to be honest with you, what I have noticed lately with the comments and the views that we're getting, they do only watch it for me now. What I will say is his name's not Vecino, it's Vecino. And it's Matthias. Right. But anyway, just to talk a bit deeper about the two players you've just named. They're the two players who I can see Everton bringing in before Friday. I think that will be the only two players that we'll bring in. I've just seen something before we started the video that once Olivier Giroud's over the line for Milan, then Vecino will be an Everton player. I know they're haggling over 5 million apparently, but I think that, you know, he wants to leave. He hasn't been playing that much, so I think they'll sort the 5 million out. Everton Suarez or Soares or whatever his name is, that's another one. I think that'll be a great acquisition to the team. That he's someone who we need. He's the quality that we need. And I also think, you know, Noam Bernard and Noam Richarlison will also help him settle into the club.
Yeah, I think obviously they're two different players. Everton, as he's affectionately known, he's a guy that I've watched for quite a while, and it's only because when you're up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning and you go on Twitter and you're searching Everton, it used to come up with him. You know, there was like a cut-off period where it would cut off between our Everton and him just because of the same name, and then it would go into the Everton Chile team and all that shit. But look, this is a guy that scored 47 goals and 177 appearances for Gamero. He operates on the left-hand side. He's very skillful. He's very quick. He gets on quite well with Richarlison in the national team, and we have seen some contact exchanged over the last few weeks. So he is a player that will definitely add a little bit of a sparkle on the Everton sort of attacking line, really. My only concern is, and it's always a concern with South American players, is sort of work rate to get back and forward, and also more importantly, can he cut it in the Premier League? Physically, is he able? And you don't really know that until they've signed. With Richarlison, it's very obvious he could cope physically. He's 6 foot, God knows what. He's fairly muscular, he's quick, and we know he can handle a challenge, although he does like to sit down occasionally. But I think it's a positive signing for Everton if he gets over the line. I'm interested to know your thoughts on whether it's a loan or a transfer fee that you think it will happen, because obviously we've got financial fair play, and obviously it looks like the signing. How did you say his name was? Vecino?
Matthias Vecino.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if we sign him on sort of an 18-month loan and a permanent deal for next summer. I don't know. But, you know, what's your thoughts on him, John?
To be fair, I haven't seen much of him, and I have seen comments on Twitter. The Milan supporters don't really rate him. So I just hope, you know, Ancelotti has seen enough of him with his time in Napoli to think that he can cut it in the Premier League and he will improve our team. That
you mean Vecino?
Vecino, sorry, I'm talking about him first. I think that will be a permanent deal.
Yeah.
30 million quid. I think that will be a permanent deal. The Everton one, I would take a loan or a permanent deal, to be fair. As you say there, the financial fair play, you know, I think it's something like 40 million for him, 42, 43 million. So we have got to watch the financial fair fair play ramifications, you know, if they do want to look into Everton. So gladly take a loan deal with Everton for the time being. But, you know, at the end of the day, Vecino has got to be better than Delph. He's got to be better than Davis. He's got to be better than Sigurdsson. And I think he will give us something more in the midfield than what them players are giving us.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why the Inter Milan fans essentially aren't asked. From what I've seen of him, it's a bit weird, right? For me, I don't see what sort of dynamic he's adding that's any different. He is a central midfielder, but as a central midfielder, we need him to be someone who's going to, you know, ball carry, who's going to turn on a sixpence, who's going to get aggressive and get up against, you know, support our attackers. But I don't know if he does that.
A box-to-box midfield, and I don't think he's that either. You know, he's not your Decore's, and I know you've mentioned a few times in the past videos, he's probably not your Ross Barkley neither. You know, and listen, no way, shape or form saying I want Barkley back, but he's the sort of player we do need in the middle at the minute. Whether Vecino's that player, I don't know, but it does look like it's a deal going to get over the line, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect he'll sign. I would be interested to see if we're going to get anyone out of our central midfield because, yes, we've got long-term injuries in Gabarmin and Andre Gomez, who both appear to be back in training, and hopefully, you know, 6 to 8 weeks, hopefully them two are back. But that means we are massively overrunning the centre of the park. If you go, you know, say we sign Vecino, Davis, Delph, Schneiderlin, Sigurdsson's dropped back in there, then obviously it's the Gabarmin, Gomez, you know, you've got the youngsters like Beningime. You just kind of think there's only 2 positions in the centre of the park and there's 7 midfielders there.
Yeah, I think the names that you mentioned then that could possibly be 2 of them names could maybe go this week. I don't know. Tom Davis is going to be surplus to requirements. I think we all know that once Ancelotti gets the players in who he wants, once he gets Gabarman and Gomez back. I was having a phone call with you before, and you said you could see Sigurdsson maybe going this week. You know, if them 2 players go, we bring Vecino in, we get the other 2 boys back fit.
Yeah, I certainly think one of the bigger names in our centre midfield probably will go this week because I think teams, as it gets to the end of the window, they struggle, they panic, and all of a sudden your first and your second options, they're out the window, and then your third and your fourth options, well, all of a sudden you have no choice to go after them. So I would suspect that a Morgan Schneiderlin is an option for, say, a Southampton or, you know, a Bournemouth. Sigurdsson, maybe in that same sort of level, you know, 15 million, get him off the wage bill. It wouldn't surprise me if one of those names did leave. It really wouldn't. Fabian Delph, for example, was linked with Sheffield United. You know, I just wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. And I do think that the sooner we can get off a couple of the players, that's great. Obviously, January is really tough for it. It really is. You know, you got teams struggling with financial fair play. They might have overspent in the summer. They know what they need to do, but they haven't got enough money to do it. They'll go for loan signings. Look, if we could save any money we physically can on the squad that we've got, which is still far too big, I'd do it. Do you get what I mean? I mean, we are completely overrun with midfielders and we haven't got enough defenders, in my opinion. So, you know, it's just something that gradually Marcel Brands is having to address. And it's difficult for him because these players, as you said earlier, they're on mega money.
Yeah.
And, you know, what did you say earlier? You know, you go into Italy, there's only a couple of teams that can pay it. They're not going to want a Sigurdsson or a Schneiderlin. You go into, you know, you go into Spain, there's probably only 2 or 3 teams. They're not going to want to sign those type of players. So it is only the Premier League. And that's the struggle.
And as you said there as well, we're overrun with midfielders, but the problem we've got is we're overrun with average midfielders, and this is down to your Steve Walsh days and your Ronald Koeman days, and it's not going to be a quick fix. But Vecino, in my opinion, will be better than what we've got. Barring Gomez and Gabarman, the players that we're actually playing, Everton will give it a lot more, and these are the sort of players who we should be looking at. Just to move on from them two players, we've been linked with Allen as well. Now we've been quoted 45 million for him. There's no way we're going to bring Everton, Vecino, and Allen in one window, in my opinion. I think Allen is more of a deal for the summer. He may play really, really well with Vecino. I don't know, but again, that's the quality that us Everton fans want to see in our team. Someone like Allen.
Yeah, I mean, Allen. Let's not make any bones about this. Allen is a great player. He's good with the ball. He's technically sound. He's skillful. Well, he's a good player. But the simple fact of the matter is, he's 29 years old. I don't see why Everton should be spending 45 million pounds on a player. Basically, he's another Sigurdsson waiting to happen. And I'm not discrediting him, and I'm not saying that Sigurdsson was as highly thought of as Allen. But when we signed Sigurdsson, a lot of people would have said, look, he's a top 6 player outside the top 6. And maybe for the first season, they were right. He scored 12 goals. He scored a few screamers. That was great. But he very quickly dropped off as soon as he hit 30. I don't want another Sigurdsson in Allen. Do you get what I mean? I'm just not asked for that shit.
Yeah, and as you said before, if we're going to spend 45 million on Allen...
Well, I was going to say this. Now, you say it, but...
Why don't we spend the extra 5-10 million and go after Jack Grealish, who knows the Premier League? As you said earlier, Brands, do whatever you can to get Jack Grealish, because at the end of the day, if he is up for grabs, if Villa go down, or if they look to cash in on him, there's going to be Tottenham after him, City will probably be after him, Liverpool will probably after him. There's going to be big clubs after Jack Grealish if he does become available. But promise him the world to come to Everton, give him a big pay packet, offer him the captaincy, say to him, we want you to be our captain, to take us into the Bramley-Moore Stadium, build a team around him, and hopefully that will be enough to turn Jack's head.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think, when Mashiri came in, it was really good. I remember it now. I'm pretty sure it was February the 28th or 27th. I was on a stag do in Bristol, and I'll never forget him coming in and me going, fucking hell, everything's changed. Everything has changed. And then Everton did season tickets, which was exactly the same. But I don't think they ever made a statement signing. They brought back Rooney, they brought in Sigurdsson, they brought in Klaassen, they wasted all of this money. But all of these players were on big wages. So why not, when all of these players are off the book, or we do get some of these bigger wages off the book? For example, Martina will go, Nias will go, Tossen will go. Sigurdsson, I don't think he'll be offered another contract, or I'd be very surprised, in a couple of years. Morgan Schneiderlin will be exactly the same situation. All of these players, that's just accumulating a large amount of money. So if we went to Jack Grealish and said, well, it's going to cost us 150 grand a week and 55 million pound a year, but we know, in my opinion, we have the best English young central midfielder who can do everything we want, I would rather spend the extra money and get the quality than go and get a player who could do it. Do you get what I mean? I want someone who is going to walk into that Everton side and completely change it. And I think Jack Grealish will do that.
Yeah, Jack Grealish could walk into any team and probably change it, to be fair.
And don't get me wrong, I'm talking massively ambitious there, because, on paper, if Villa stay up and Everton don't get into Europe, well, there's fuck all difference between Everton and Villa. They're both historic clubs. They've both won titles. They've both won FA Cups. Villa have won a European Cup. We've won a European Cup Winners' Cup. There's very little difference between Everton and Villa as of right now, apart from a few league positions and the fact that we haven't been relegated. But the simple fact of the matter is Everton have the ambition. We are stabilised. And if we're going to go into that new stadium, give someone like Jack Grealish or some other fantastic young talent the opportunity to go, do you know what? I'm going to be the one that leads this fucking club into the new stadium at Bramley-Moore. I'm going to be the one that's, the biggest player on the book. I'm going to be the one who's most ambitious. I'm going to lift Everton a trophy. And I just think that mentality is in Jack Grealish.
Yeah. Basically, I agree with everything you're saying there.
John, I mean this because a lot of Everton fans will be sitting here going, you've got no fucking chance. And do you know what? I semi-agree with them, but I want to see some ambition. I want to see Everton get their finger out of their arse and all of a sudden produce something that the fans go, oh my God.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened in years. We've been let down by this board time and time again. And if we go, right, I know we've got financial fair play to worry about. I know we have. But even if we signed one player in the summer, and it was Jack Grealish, I'm telling you right now, our team would be a million times better.
Yeah, I think to get Jack in, I agree with everything you've just said. Selling the project that we've got going, taking us into the Bramley-Moore dock. And going back to what you said earlier about the statement signing, we've never really done one under Machida. We haven't really done one. Man City, they get taken over. That same day they go and sign Robinho. We have not done a statement signing. For me, Jack Grealish in the summer will be the statement signing, the first statement signing that we will make under Machiri.
Yeah, but we do have financial fair play, and this is why January is so tough, in my opinion. So, you've got a list of names there. I know you have, and you've probably got on there James Rodriguez. You've probably got players like Koulibaly, for example, who we were linked with earlier in the summer. These players in January won't happen. I can't see James Rodriguez signing for Everton in January because we haven't moved the players off the wage bill to do it.
Rodriguez, from what I've read today, there's two clubs in for him, which is us and Arsenal. Now, we were linked with James Rodriguez 3-4 weeks ago. It went a bit quiet on that front, and now it's reared its head again. This could be agents basically thinking of, we've only got 5 days to go here. Agents, that's what agents do this time of year, to get the best deals for the clubs, the best deal for themselves, and the best deals for their players. And that's why it's hard to get them in January, because clubs will just turn their nose up at the deals that the agents want.
Yeah. So who else have you got on that list there, John?
I read something, we've been linked with Hervé Lozano. That was yesterday or Friday, I think. Now, for me, that ship sailed. We've been linked with him for the last 12, 18 months now. Brands signed him for, was it PSV? There's been talk that he'd like to link up with Everton again because Brands is there and Brands might push that deal. But that ship sailed for me, Lozano, and especially if we're going to bring in the players we've been linked with, I don't really think we need a Lozano, to be fair, because we'll have Bernard going through the middle. We've got Everton, we've got Richarlison. I don't think we need Lozano. I think we'll leave that one well alone. Seen another rumour before, Christoph Piatek.
Yeah.
He's on loan, I think, at the minute, at somewhere, but he is an AC Milan player, I believe. Us and Tottenham for 30 million. Again, a lot of these names we're mentioning are going to be, if these are true names that we're talking about, a lot of these names are going to be summer transfers. You're not going to get Piatek, Rodriguez, Allen, Vecino, Everton, all in January. So I'd like to think Brands has his targets identified, talks are ongoing, but I'd also like to think that he's got his targets lined up for the summer as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with your points you've just made. I'm just going to mention, well, you're going to mention it actually, but the Everton players to leave in January. Who do you think's going?
Right. Well, I have heard something that Benigami does want a loan deal somewhere before the transfer deadline. Yeah. He's looking to go out on loan, which, I think we've talked about this before. Benigamy played against Chelsea in the cup a couple of years ago, and he was probably man of the match. He put a crunching tackle in. We haven't really seen him since. You've got Silva didn't give him a chance really. Ancelotti's come in, he's not getting in, and especially with the way the midfield's being depleted. Obviously, a lot of these managers don't really fancy Benigamy, so I can't see why he wants to go out on loan and get some game time. We've also got Cuco Martina. I think he's played once for the under-23s. That's how shit he is. Do you know what I mean? He's got to be one of the worst signings Everton have ever done. But for the wages these players are on, you can't push them out the club. You can't force them to leave the club. Same with Oumar Niasse. He's had 2 or 3 offers. Nottingham Forest, I think Leeds was one. He thinks he's too good to drop down to that level. Well, I'm not being funny, Oumar. You wouldn't even get him Bootle FC's team, in my opinion. So, he actually thinks he's better than what he is. So it's going to be hard to get these players off the books. But Everton will have to pay a majority of the wages for them to go before Friday.
Yeah, I think the issue you've got with players like Oumar Niasse and Martina is while they play for a Premier League club, they might have at the end of the contract, and I was reading this the other day, that some players have like an end of contract payment for seeing out their contract. He could have that in his contract. Obviously, Oumar Niasse at the time was a decent money signing for Everton, and he was shit. Quite honestly, he's never been any good. He got a little bit of folklore because obviously he wasn't given a locker, and then the week he's given a locker, he manages to save our arse after being 1-0 down for the majority of the game, and probably save Koeman's job for at least a couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think with Oumar Niasse, if he drops down to Nottingham Forest or drops down to Leeds and they don't get promoted, it fucks him, to be honest, because it'll make it struggle to get back to an elite league, one of the top flights of, and I'm saying elite. I mean, one of the top flights of any league, if he went to Turkey, if he went to Russia, if he went to, if he did go to Spain, it's going to hinder him coming from a second division England side. So I can't see him leaving to go to any of them teams. Now, the only thing I half suspected might happen was that maybe he would end up at a side like Norwich, because Norwich are bottom of the league. They're not going to attract a top level centre forward, but they're equally in the Premier League, so teams are going to play for them. I think Oumar Niasse would consider a move to a team that's in the relegation zone because it's still a Premier League side.
Totally agree. As you say, Norwich, Villa. Villa's another one.
Villa have just signed someone, but I did think Villa, but they've just signed a striker, so I can't see them going for him.
Yeah, it's hard to ship these players out, and that was a big mistake by the transfer committee and the manager who brought him in. But you learn from your mistakes, and I'd like to think the days of them big money mistakes have gone now. With Marcel Brands, and listen, Marcel Brands has made a lot of mistakes in the transfer market, and he does act slow. I think he done it with Kurt Zouma. He put all his eggs in one basket for the centre half with Kurt Zouma, and we didn't end up getting him. And it left us light at the back, and again,
he confirmed that at the AGM when he put on his board permanent signing of Kurt Zouma. As soon as we had we should have had that conversation with Chelsea in fucking April, in May, saying, look, is there any chance we're going to sign him? They had a transfer ban. If they said no, right, fuck that off then. Don't wait until the end of the transfer window. Let's go and get someone else. Not fucking wait until the end of August to try and sign him and then end up with fuck all. Signing Iwobi on deadline day. It was a bad window for Brands. People sit here and criticise me, but it was a bad window for Brands. And I get the fact we've got a lot of shit on the book. I get it. I really, really do. But centre-back was imperative this season. And we got lucky. We got lucky that Holgate stepped up so well.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it, Michael, is, we're not really linked with centre-backs in this window, Listen, we're the same as everybody else. We only see rumours, we only hear things on the grapevine, but we haven't even been really linked with a centre-back. I know I've mentioned Koulibaly. That's not going to happen. That was just me being over-optimistic, to be fair. But, we're not really linked with any centre-backs, and I think the reason for that is, as you say, Mason Holgate stepped up. Yerry Mina, at the beginning of the season, was probably our most improved player. I'd now say that's probably Bernard or Dominic Calvert. Well, probably Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but Bernard's been playing well lately. We've always got Michael Keane to come in, who I'm not a lover of Michael Keane, but I can't see us getting a centre-back. I think, as I say, the two players we're going to get is Everton and Vecino this week.
Yeah, and as I'm sitting here talking about Vecino, I'm watching him, and he has got this ability to pick up the ball and run with it. He seems quite confident on the ball. So, maybe I'm wrong about him, but I know that Inter aren't too bothered. And I like to think that, yes, Inter are having a fantastic season in Italy. Yes, they're looking to get, win their title and everything. But I like to think that Everton, in terms of at least ambition, aren't a million miles away from an Inter Milan. Yeah. And if he's not making the appearances that, he wants this season, then I'm a bit concerned as to why not.
Different managers like different things in players. Sarri hasn't been there that long, has he? So I think before Sarri come in, he was playing quite regular. So obviously different managers have different opinions. He mightn't like him, but he could come over to Everton and be a worldie, And as you say, you're watching a video there of him picking the ball up and running at the opposition and bringing it forwards, which is probably what we need at the minute. So hopefully he can cut it in the Premier League.
Hopefully. I just think it's really important. It's really important. We've left it late again, and I don't know the reason for that. I don't know whether there is financial constraints behind the scenes. It wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was, should I say. So all I want from Everton is, from the last end of the season, to be more competitive, more aggressive, not so poor in terms of, at times defending, not having another Newcastle, not having drab performances like we did against West Ham. And don't get me wrong, I expect one or two. Ancelotti's got to get his thoughts across, his opinions across. But I don't want to see every week. And for 90 minutes against Newcastle, I saw a different Everton. I saw an aggressive Everton, a strong Everton. Do you know what? I'll go as far as saying a really, really strong, good performance from a team that you could see were being top four driven. Yeah. For the last 2 minutes, I was devastated. I really fucking was devastated. And I want a team that I can at least trust that won't happen, because we've had it time and time again with Silva. When we go one down, we know we're not going to come back, or if we do, it'll be a draw. He never come from behind. And I don't want it that if we're 2-0 up, I'm still worried about us drawing. We did it at Bournemouth a couple of years ago and last year. Then we did it against Newcastle and lost 3-2. We've done it at West Ham in the past. We've done it at Chelsea in the past. I want to drop all of that. And I want us, if we're 2-0 up, see out fucking games. And January is a really strong opportunity to get the right players in to make sure that for the end of the season, we do that.
Yeah, totally agree. We will end this video now, because we have gone on longer than what we said we would. But it goes down to one of the words I've used a lot lately, and it's mentality. Our mentality has to change within that team. From the manager, he needs to sort the mentality out. As you say, not where we're winning 2-0. We can see the goal and we're shitting our pants for the last couple of minutes, and hopefully bringing players in will change that mentality, because the top six is not out the question. If you look at the league table, with the fixtures we've got coming up, there's a few quite winnable ones. We've only got to win two games, and you're right back in the mix for the top six. So just sort the mentality out, sort the defence out. And just a quick, to end the video, going back to the Newcastle game, that was probably our best performance of the season the other night, up until the 92nd, 93rd minute. And you could see Ancelotti's ideas were starting to come across, because the midfield we had, and I said this on my match reaction, the one I've done on my own, it wasn't his first choice 11 the other night, and you could see his ideas are coming across to average players. So can you imagine what it'd be like if he gets his own players in?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think this is a very, very different Everton team in 2 years, as long as Marcel Brands gets it right. I think Marcel Brands is key to all of this, because I'm very much on the fence about him. And if he gets it right, then he could go down. And I think a lot of Everton fans will say this as the man that finally fixed this club. But if he gets it wrong, he's another Steve Walsh. And it's that simple.
Yeah. And he's got a manager there now who we can work with. Obviously, a manager who has won things, so hopefully him and Marcel, Carlo and Marcel can work together to bring the right players in for our club. As you say, 2 years, that's minimum for me. It's not going to be a quick fix, but we are going in the right direction. The football's better. Hopefully Usmanov will come in. The ground's on the horizon now. So it is looking positive. It's just when things like Tuesday happen to you, it just kicks you in the bollocks and knocks you down 3 steps when you're nearly at the top of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right, okay, folks. Well, we're going to leave it there anyway. It was just an update on the transfers. Obviously, if anything happens through the week, there will be a video out, me, Michael, or both of us. If we do sign anyone before Friday, we will do another transfer video. Try and give the lowdown on the players we've signed. Anyone outgoing as well, we'll include that. So thanks very much for watching. There's a couple of games today, so when you get a chance, just give the video a watch, give the channel a subscribe, and thanks very much everyone for watching.